Hello, everyone, and welcome to the LA Sparks podcast from Your Game Network, whether you're listening or watching. I'm Shaded, a former D1 basketball player that played at Portland State for 5 years, and this is my co host.
What's up, everybody? My name is Rachel. I also played 5 years of Division One basketball. I just recently graduated from Long Beach State in California, and whether you're a diehard fan or new to the W, we've got your Sparks fix every week.
Absolutely. And to start off on our first episode, we're going to start off from last week's two previous games, Sparks versus Lynx, Sparks versus Storm. Our leading scorer, Rickea Jackson, the unfortunate three-player injuries, the two new players that have been added to the Sparks roster, and more. So we'll start off with the first game from Saturday, which is Sparks versus Lynx. You ready to get into that one, Rachel?
Unfortunately, I am ready to get into that.
I hear you. I hear you. It's gonna be some interesting critiques that we're gonna have to throw out there, but we're gonna make our way through it. So the final score was 78 to 101, Lynx. Unfortunately, as Rachel stated, I would start off with I guess some of the key moments that maybe we can take some positives from will be maybe the third and fourth quarter where we began maybe better, passing the ball better, cutting. Defense was a bit better, also better ball movement. What do you think about that, Rachel?
Yeah, I definitely agree with everything you just said. I think coming off of a big win against the Aces, I had high hopes for this game, but definitely didn't live up to the expectation. I think miscommunication, lack of cohesion, and those injuries is kind of what's killing us right now.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. It was definitely, and I mean, got to give credit where it's due to the potential MVP for this year, Nafisa Collier. She was everywhere. So yeah, it was just an unfortunate kind of storm, perfect storm that was like worked in our, like not in our favor, if you will. So I think it's just like you said, the team cohesion is a big thing. I think one thing that stuck out to me in both games, which we'll get into, is just the team defense and the communication that's going on as far as who's guarding who, how we're switching, how we're helping, help side defense, how we're helping the helper. I don't know if you can speak to that, but I know that it was just something that you could just tell that we just never really adjusted to.
Definitely. I feel like we're having a little bit of trouble right now translating on offense, which that can be okay. But when the defense isn't there to back it up, I think we're going to end up with scores like this every time if we can't get that cohesion together, especially on the defensive side.
Right, right.
I
I
wrote
completely.
help side, help the helper, kind of basic fundamental things. Like, of course, those are things that we're keyed in on as former athletes and former D1 players. But I think it doesn't take a really trained eye to see that the defense is just not working well together right now. So I kind of
Hmm.
want to break down what you think, what I think, what we think,
Hmm.
the miscommunication, lack of cohesion defensively.
Absolutely. No, I think that's a great point. I think more than anything, I think communication just is the big thing. I think for me, I don't know if they're not necessarily miking them up like they do in the NBA, but I don't know if, when you recall where, when you're a big coming up to set a screen or your player is setting a screen for your guard, you're letting them know like left, left, right, right, just so they know they're anticipating, okay, here comes the screen. I'm going to prepare for that. We're going to switch. I'm going to fight over it. I think, I don't know if that's happening because I think I even noticed that the commentators were kind of like miscommunication, like miscommunicate. Like it just was apparent that it was just like, especially the pick and roll defense, the roller was wide open pretty much 50% of the time, if not more.
And I'd say that's what it's going to come back to every time is even if the one-on-one defense isn't stellar, you're getting beat off the dribble or you're getting beat on help side, at least you know the help side is there, but that's what they're lacking right now. The help side defense is weak. And I think we're over helping a little bit too because of that lack of one on one. It's like a player could get blown by and you think your help is going to be there, but your help is over helping on the opposite side. So it's like almost like there's no help right now.
Right, right. Agreed. Agreed. Yeah, we just have to, I think, just get on the same page, in some kind of way. I think like I mentioned from our teaser, it's unfortunate that we have so many injuries right now, which I think has a lot to do with why there's a lack of cohesion because maybe you have players on the floor that really haven't even practiced together yet. So maybe that's something that we're experiencing and having to watch as well.
We want to speak more on that as we get more into the show, just about how these players being out for injury, personal reasons, Eurobasket, just so many players out right now that some are very key players. I think that has a lot to do with the dynamic right now. And it's hard to bring players in that, yeah, maybe they've played a few minutes here and there before for other teams, but
Hmm.
never played with this team and you lack WNBA experience. It's like we don't have that vet right now that's leading, that's bringing the fire of, okay, maybe I'm not scoring points, maybe I'm not doing the big things that show up in the stats, but where's the hustler? We need the hustler that's wanting to do the little things, that's wanting to get deflections, get on the ground, like those things that coaches look for. We need somebody right now to be bringing that. And I think Rickea, she's doing everything that she can. So
Hmm.
she's definitely in contention for being that person. But because she's so young, I feel like the team isn't looking at her to be that main person. And it's if she could step into that role, I think the team will follow suit. But right now, yeah, missing those players with injury and other reasons, it's kind of killer. And I think they're letting it drag them down a bit.
Yeah, no, absolutely, absolutely. I completely agree. Definitely well said. I think she's definitely hopefully in contention for making the All Star team. All Star voting is happening right now, so hopefully she's set to make the All Star team because she definitely deserves it. Because like you said, she's definitely doing everything she can in her power. She's only one player, so you can only do so much. But like I mentioned, like she's really been kind of the bright spot out of all this, the not so greatness of the last two games. So I would say within the third and fourth quarter, if you I don't know if you agree that these were kind of pivotal moments as far as where we maybe began to kind of talk more, just give more effort where there's more cutting, more passing. We were able to kind of bring it, actually not even kind of, but we brought it within 10. I don't know if you want to speak to just what do you think was the reason why it took us so long to start giving some maximum effort?
From personal experience, I'm sure you can relate to this, but think back to those games where you're down 15, 20, maybe even 30 at halftime. What is the coach's response? It's very rare that a coach is going to come into the locker room and be like, all right, guys, heads up. Like, I'm sure there were some choice words and some definite tone changes that maybe that's what it was. I think as a player looking in, that's probably what it had to be was at
Hmm.
this point, at what point does it become embarrassing for y'all? Like you have to start taking it personally. So I'm sure she
Hmm.
kind of laid onto them in the locker room at halftime, like, if you're gonna lose, lose, but don't lose like this.
Right, right, yeah. Give effort. That's one thing to just to get outplayed, but out, them to be have more effort than you. That's unacceptable. So I completely agree. I kind of had that talk. We were watching it, and I was like, I think they kind of got it in the locker room at halftime, as they should. They should have been giving it to themselves because, like you said, at what point is it a pride thing? Yeah. Well, like what point?
And
So.
I can say this, I feel like we said, injuries, people being out, limited roster, it's
Mhm.
hard to go 40 minutes with 8 people max on the bench.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
you got 8 players, not a lot of key players. That's hard. But also, I think we got to go back to Lynn Roberts' like coaching style. Maybe bring that from the jump of that type of energy and laying onto them of the importance of taking it personally. I
Hmm.
think she makes adjustments, but maybe a little bit too late to
Yeah.
where it's like if the same thing is happening every game, every game, every game, why not make that adjustment beforehand rather than waiting till we're down 30 points to then say, okay, let's make an adjustment. Okay, let's make a sub, or even vice versa, subbing people out where I'm sure you can relate to this. Like somebody's hooping, and maybe it's somebody that is normally a bench player that's kind of stepping into this role of getting more minutes, like Emma Cannon, for example. I
Yep.
really like Cannon's game. And I think right now she's playing behind Sarah Ashley Barker. And I think that's debatable at this point because she's kind of proven herself to be a versatile player, somebody that can score at all three levels. I think, yeah, the confidence is lacking, but she hasn't got that many opportunities. So it's like, of course, the confidence isn't going to be super sky high when this is kind of your first time really getting those big minutes. So I
Mhm.
think making adjustments beforehand and also sometimes not making adjustments that you think you need to make is
Yeah.
going to be a difference maker in terms of coaching and play style.
Right, right. Over adjusting sometimes too
Absolutely.
much. Absolutely. No, I think that's a good point, as far as like the Emma Cannon playing behind Barker. It is somewhat debatable at this point. So I would just say for moving forward, this team cohesion needing to get better with communication, better better help defense, and then helping the helper.
Yeah.
And as we move forward into the Seattle Storm game, which happened on Tuesday, the final score 98-67. Rickea Jackson once again, the bright spot in that game as well. She had 17 points. Also, got to give love to Sarah Barker. She hit 4 threes, two of those being in the first quarter. So shout out to the rookie, getting out there, using this time to win we have these players injured to show everybody what she has. So this is definitely your time to shine. No, we never want to see anybody injured, but when somebody does go down, this is definitely your time to shine if you are a bench player. So like
Yeah.
we, if you want to speak to that.
I was just going to say for the fans listening that may not know, obviously, I think everyone knows that Brink is still out with her ACL. No timeline on that. So I don't think we should be expecting her to be the come in hero savior of like, okay, well, when Cameron Brink comes back, we'll be good because it's hard to come back from injury and
Mm-hmm.
been
Mm-hmm.
off for so long. We can't just expect her to come back and be the same player that she was.
Right.
So there's that for one. Then we got Ray Burrell, who has a right leg injury.
Yeah.
Last week they said 6 to 8 weeks. So there's no promise of her coming back within the next few weeks. Then we
Right.
have Odyssey Sims, and she's just out for personal reasons. There's not really a lot of conversation on that. So she's out for the time being. And then we got Julie Alleman, who's playing overseas right now in the Euro Basketball League. So we're down 4 pretty big role players and a couple key players. So
Right.
I just don't
Yeah.
know where we go from here. Obviously, then with the Storm game, Kelsey Plum being out, no
Mm-hmm.
time on that. And that's like
Yeah.
our main
Huge.
score assister. Like, even when she's making mistakes, I feel like that's the veteran that's like, okay, people respect her game, people know her name, these
Mm-hmm.
things. So it's like when you're playing with her, it kind of brings out that fuel that I was talking about for the other players that they need that spark. Like, what's going to bring the spark? And Kelsey Plum does bring that.
Oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely. She's a little firecracker for sure. Absolutely, like she's coming in talking trash, like all that. Talking to the bench, to the fans, Spike Lee, like anybody. So yeah, we definitely missed that. But I think, like you mentioned in the previous game analysis, just I think is a good time right now. Is a good time to begin running the offense more so through Rickea Jackson showing, let us show what she can do a little bit more, and running her off screens and off, flares and
Yeah.
back screens, different things like that. So I think I understand it's easier said than done from the outside looking in. Lynn Roberts, I definitely my heart goes out to you just having to adjust to these things. I heard a quote that a reporter asked, like how has it been dealing with all these injuries, and she had a good response, which was, I can be frustrated or I can be present. And I was like, I thought that was a great response, just because it's easy to just be frustrated, which then translates down or trickles down to your players,
Exactly.
which, you have to be kind of the steady one. You have to be the rock, the one to, kind of calm everybody and say, we're going to figure this out.
And I
So,
appreciate those words because for some, it's not going to hold a lot of weight of, oh, she's just talking. She want to save her job. But I think that's the most wise word she could have said in that moment of right now I can't listen to the outside noise. I need to be present for my team. So I'd say that's a good example of leadership despite what's going on the court right now.
Yeah, absolutely. I thought it was a great response and just something that was kind of like calming and, just almost a peaceful, we're going to figure it out yeah, kind of attitude and energy, which, is definitely admirable in a situation like this. Like I said, it's very easy to be just frustrated and kind of like stumped almost and not really know what to do because these injuries, they're just like you said, it's just not having the fit the numbers. That's just something that you can't really fight against. So I know
No,
that that's difficult, but she's handling it well.
yeah.
I would say some of the pivotal turning points would be we brought it within five within in the first quarter, and then we were able to bring it within two at the beginning of the second quarter. I would say that was probably the closest we got from that point. But I think if you want to speak to this as well, it's just once again it's just those team cohesion. We had two brand new players, Shea Petty and Grace Berger, and they hadn't practiced with the team. I think Shea Petty had gotten into Minnesota at like 1 a.m. Like had to get off the plane, get home. I think her jersey didn't even have her name on it. It was one of those kind of things. So yeah, it's just you're just trying to figure it out. I don't even know your tendencies as a new teammate. I don't know if you like to cut, if you like to drive more, if you like, I don't know what your defensive tendencies are. So
Yeah,
yeah, I don't know if you want to speak to that.
definitely did want to touch on that. I think you're exactly right. And it just goes back to what we were talking about in the beginning of the segment of how do you build cohesion when they're coming and going, dropping like flies? You never get the chance to build that chemistry. And chemistry is such an important part of basketball that's
Yeah.
so underlooked. You look at
Hmm.
some of the greatest teams of all time. What's the commonality is a lot of those guys or a lot of these women played together, maybe from college or maybe 10-year vets in the NBA that have stayed on the same team the whole time. And I
Hmm.
get the WNBA is a very different league in the sense of the small rosters. Like that's something I also want to touch on in later episodes is these small rosters and maybe really considering roster expansion for the WNBA to give more of these players a chance that are stars in college and then never really get a shot getting to the league. So, yeah, cohesion for sure, but I think that played a big role in the Storm game. And I don't know if we ever said the final score being 98-67 Storm win. Grace Berger, I'm a big Grace Berger fan. I'm from Indiana myself, and I watched her play at IU for those few years, and she's incredible. I think she brings that heart. Yeah, she has a great game, but you could tell that she's just very passionate about the game. So I'm not surprised by the fact that I think the commentator said she was babysitting at the time she got the call. She got called up to play in LA. She was
Yeah.
babysitting in Louisville, kind of dropped that immediately and hopped on a plane 2 hours later, was in LA, or 2 hours later, and was expected to play in LA that next day. So it's kind of like you're getting thrown into the lion's den. And yes, these are all high level, very talented, competitive women. But at the end of the day, who who can do that really? Like you have to respect the fact that she's even out there giving what she's giving because that takes a lot. And I'll say the same for um, Emma Kennedy.
Hmm.
She, like we said, I feel like she could have a much bigger role. Like
Hmm.
she got drafted in 2012.
Oh,
So
Emma Cannon did.
yes,
Oh wow. Okay. Okay.
2012. So I feel like, or no, sorry, er, that's Petty. Petty
Okay.
was
Okay. Yeah, definitely. I saw that. I was like, wow. But
Petty is one of the ones that just got called up who hasn't who's like a vet, quote unquote, a vet in the league, but
hmm
hasn't seen a lot of minutes. So it's like you've been in the game a long time, you know what you're doing, like you know how it works, but she's never really gotten a chance to prove herself. And
hmm
I just thought was cool, a random tidbit is she has patience is a virtue on her arm.
I saw
And
that. Yeah.
yes, she played a little bit in 2019. That's when she got recalled up, but now this is her first time playing in years other than training. So it's like she stuck to that patience and now it's paying off. She's getting her chance. And I just hope to see more of what we saw in that Storm game of basically coming into your own, even at this older age, of finally getting a chance and utilizing it to the fullest. I think she's still obviously in a little bit of a shell, but like I said, for the other players, it's very circumstantial of you're thrown into the lion's den and they want you to perform. And I think she has the potential to do so. I mean, she started off the game hot. She was the first scorer. She hit a three. And I felt like, okay, like we're on a good roll now. The Sparks are starting to get on a little roll here. And then at some point it crashes. And what is that? What is that turning point? I don't know. What do you think?
Right, right. No, and I think that really has to do with, I think, them, a lot of them still figuring out like where do I fit? What do I bring best to this team so we can succeed? You know, I think, and I think as we discussed with Lynn Roberts, I think she's figuring that out on the fly as well, because like you mentioned, like people are just dropping like flies, where on one moment you feel like, okay, I feel I kind of got this figured out, and then boom, three players are out. And it's like, so back to the drawing board. Like I have no idea what I'm, what's happening. So I think that really has something to do with just lack of, system, lack of, not even lack of, but still figuring out the culture that, is to be built with this new team, with the Kelsey Plum and the, Shea Petties and things like that. So I think that just really has a lot to do with it. And like you mentioned, like there's just only so much you can do when, you're just trying to figure it out, because literally some of us just got here.
I, now that you're saying that, I've been really locked into kind of watching the fan interactions on social media and their responses and stuff, especially because we haven't been able to get into the arena yet for these games and kind of see what the environment's like in person.
Hmm.
But watching from the TV, you can see fan reactions in the stands. But I think a big way to speak to how people are feeling and receiving the team is to look at comments and tweets and things like that on social media.
Hmm.
And one, what you just said, one of the top comments on the final, you know how they always post the final score of the games, like
Right.
so after the Storm game, the Sparks posted final score 98-67, and the caption was "Not our night." Period. One of the top comments, "Is it ever?" All good. Though. We started two players that didn't even have orientation. So I thought that was basically a good way to speak on how the fans are feeling. But at the same time, I think everyone sees what we see of you're missing all these key players, and then you bring people in and expect them to play one day after they flew into LAX.
Hmm.
Is it
Yeah.
ever our night? Like at this,
Right.
it's just seeming unlucky more than
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, it's giving Murphy's Law or something like that. Something's happening. I don't know, but
absolutely.
we're hoping that we're maybe turning the corner here pretty pretty soon to
Yeah.
move forward into that. But you were talking about fan interactions and things like that, and I think you and I discussed just about um some things that we think that should be showcased to the fans. And I think you have brought up a good point about the video.
Yes, absolutely. So
Mm.
for people listening that may not know or haven't been to a game at home in person, the Sparks intro video, like the little hype video that they play while they're announcing the starting five and things like that, their intro video, I thought it was amazing. Like, really does a good job of highlighting each player and highlighting the culture of Los Angeles and everything, encapsulating all those things. The only way I saw it was somebody recorded it at the game and posted it on TikTok. That's how I've seen it. So I'm
Right.
like, yeah, I get maybe the idea of that is let's not post it so people have to come to the game to see it. But at the same time, our record right now is not speaking for itself. So you want fans to keep engaging and keep being entertained. I think they got to speak more on what they're doing in the community, how they're such a vital part of the community, and then post those things that people want to see that's entertaining. Like that intro video probably took so long and it was great work and it does a good
Mhm.
job at getting the crowd hyped.
Yeah.
Post that, let the fans know, like, hey, we're still rocking with y'all. Like, please keep rocking with us, basically.
Right, right. Agreed. No, and I completely agree. Like when you brought it up, I had to go check it out myself because I hadn't seen the video, and it's not anywhere on
No,
any Spark social medias to where you would think that that would be a great marketing tool to say, hey, come out and see these players. So yeah, I think that's a great, just a helpful hint. Sparks, wink, wink, whisper.
like,
Um, put
come
that
on,
on the social media
come
page.
on now.
Yeah, go ahead, put it on some social media page. It's okay. Get some engagement. It's all right. Everybody else does it. It's the era in which we live in.
And that's the thing. I think a lot of fans that have been longtime fans or that know basketball well, they're still
Mhm,
going to rock with this team because you see the potential and you see
mhm,
we have really talented players. It's just not all going together right now. So
mhm, mhm.
some of the comments, like there's a lot of negative, of course, can't win with these injuries. Losing KP hurts bad. Nothing to be done. We barely had 8 healthy players. That argument for bigger roster is getting pretty loud, huh? Like lots of traction, lots of negative traction. But then at the same time, I saw so many comments of still love y'all, keep battling, ladies, 40 minutes every night. I hate this for the Sparks. It's hard having players out. Just keep a positive mind, ladies. The real fans of the WNBA will still cheer you on. Things like
Yeah.
that. And I feel like if you're a real Sparks fan, yes, it's valid. Be upset. Be
Mhm,
sad. Be hurt. You know that
mhm.
things are not going in our favor right now. But at the same time, I would say don't let a record or a specific game deter you from supporting or being a fan of this team and these ladies, because at the end of the day, they're still people. I think that's a big conversation is we forget the fact that these women have lives outside of this and we're so in the spotlight right now, women's basketball, which it's a great thing that women's basketball is finally getting attention and it's finally getting respect and fans and all these things. But at the same time, a lot of these girls are fresh out of college, and you're right in the public eye and you get on Instagram and what are you going to see? You guys suck. Oh, trade this player for this player. We don't want her. Like things like that. It's like
Yeah.
everyone to each their own, freedom of speech, everything. Say what you feel, of
Mhm.
course, but don't call yourself a fan and only be tearing them down.
Yeah.
Like I think the criticism is it's righteous, it's valid, but at the same time, it's a good basketball term I like to use. KYP. Know your
Mhm.
personnel.
Yep.
We always say that in basketball.
Yep.
Same time right now. KYP. Know your players, know your personnel, and
Mhm.
know the situation at hand. You know the talent, and obviously the record's not reflecting that right now. But you got to ride it out if you're truly a fan of basketball and the Los Angeles Sparks.
Yes, that's a fact. That's a fact. And I mean, that's what we're here for is, just to continue to shine a light on women's basketball and the LA Sparks franchise just in general because they definitely deserve just as much coverage as anybody in any male sport, any of our other male clubs around the city of Los Angeles. The ladies at the LA Sparks definitely deserve as much spotlight and recognition as anybody else. So that's what we'll be here for all season. So we just definitely hope that if we continue to, like I said, turn the corner and just figure out ways to get better and just make our ways around these things that, just are unfortunate, just career hazards, like, hazards of the game. Like this is just it's just an occupational hazard. Like it's a part of
That's
basketball.
the
Yeah, it's the unfortunate part of basketball. It's just that I personally know what it's like to have ACL injury, so I understand somewhat about what Cameron Brink's going through. So it's just a different things that you have to go through mentally and just the rehab and all those things. So yeah, we're going to continue to stand by the Sparks. And like I said, just hope that we continue to turn the corner and just, work our way through this.
Amen. So
Absolutely.
kind of segueing from that, I kind of want to touch on like specific players and specific moments from these 2 games now that you felt basically did their thing or maybe even didn't do their thing as much because obviously we're in support of all these players and we want to see them reach that fullest potential. But you can't sit in every game say, "Oh, she played amazing." That's not always the case. But I think we should highlight what went well, what went wrong, who did what, those type of things. So, did you have anything you wanted to start with?
Absolutely. I mean, I think we've kind of spoken it a ton, or on her a ton. It's just Rickea Jackson. I think she's just done an amazing job just to continue to just try to find ways to insert herself into the game, whether it be offensive boards, whether it be defensively from the three, getting off the dribble downhill, getting to the free throw line. I think she's just, like I said, the right spot that I think that we should really lean into and kind of start to play off of. Even maybe when the other players begin to come back as well, continue to facilitate, or incorporate her more into the offense. I think that I honestly don't think that that would be a bad choice. So I think that would be a person like that. I think that we would be able to utilize more for sure.
I totally agree. I think Rakia is a three-way player. She is so versatile and is almost the biggest asset we have right now. Just watching
Hmm.
her, she can shoot the three, but she can bang down in the post. And that's almost what I want to see more of is her kind of tap into one of those sides. It's like right now she's playing in the middle and it's working
Hmm.
out.
Hmm.
Pretty consistent. I want to say 16 to 18 every game you can count on right now from Rakia. But
Right.
I'm saying in terms of she's 6'2", so she's kind of small forward. I think they're playing her as a forward, but it's like she really wants to tap into that guard bag.
Hmm. Hmm.
Like a key moment for me was the like 6 minutes into the first quarter of that Storm game, she got a steal on the defensive end, took it coast to coast, and hit a little behind the back. She
Hmm.
missed the
Hmm.
layup, but got her own rebound, finished it, and I was like, wait,
Yeah.
she like we know she could hoop. We've been knowing
Yeah.
she. But
Yeah.
that just kind of opened my eyes and I sat up and I was like, why is this not every
Hmm.
moment? Basically, this is
Uh-huh.
what I want to see. This is what
Yeah.
I'm loving. So
Yeah.
give her more freedom to do that. Maybe she needs to
Hmm.
all up. It's like we're forcing her into this forward center position of kind of get inside, get inside. And she can do that. But I don't
Hmm.
think she wants to do that. So it's
Hmm.
like play to your strength right now. Like let her have more of a freedom in that offense to shoot the ball more or to basically take someone one on one, take them to the basket. She can do that. She's tall and versatile, but also strong, and she'll do her thing down there. Basically, is what
Yeah.
I'm saying.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I think completely well said. I think just being able to utilize her more. I think honestly she wasn't talked about enough in her in her rookie season. Honestly, um, I think she had a great season, and honestly she's gotten better since then. Like this is a great start to her sophomore season. She especially just kind of getting her feet back under her after being out from on concussion protocol. So I think she's just not getting enough shine just in general. So I think she deserves more shine just publicly and then also just on the Sparks as well, as far as how can we utilize her talent just more, just to where maybe she's just more of a focal point right now, especially because we need it. And I mean it can't hurt to try at this point. Like, try it and
Absolutely.
see. Try it and see. And then we also have to give love to Rakia because she's in her fashion bag. Okay.
I'm so glad you said that because I was hoping at some point maybe one of these shows we could also touch on the fashion because I hate to say it, they may not be doing their best right now on the court, but them
But
girls are doing their best in them walk-ins.
listen,
Like,
okay, listen. They are okay walking down these carpets and whatnot. Okay, Rakia had, just for anybody who's listening and who's watching and who doesn't know much about her as well. At the draft, Rakia had two outfits. I don't know if anybody clocked that. She had a outfit that was like, I think, kind of like the dress that was for the red carpet, and then a whole nother outfit for when they sat down in in the stadium or whatnot, to have her name called. Like, so she came into the league on some like, this is me watch out. I'm gonna do my thing on the court too, but I'm also gonna do my thing in this fashion bag.
Exactly that. And I've noticed there's different receptions to that. Like some people are like, oh, focus on basketball. Y'all so worried about throwing a fit on and da 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 da. But I'm a big look good, feel good person for sure.
That
So
part. Deion Sanders said it best.
amen. So
Mhm,
if you're walking in and you feel good, I
mhm.
think that's preparing them even more to be her out there and do her and hoop.
Yeah, especially if that naturally, clearly, it just naturally is her. And I mean, once again, I mean, we're gonna probably consistently talk about this as the season progresses, but nobody's talking about the men, and they're
They're doing the
them
same
coming,
thing
they're
right now.
doing the exact same thing. So
It's
I
gonna be a
mean,
problem when the women do it, huh?
it's because they have heels on, and it's like so it's different. Like I don't even care. Honestly, I want to give some love to one of her previous fits that she just wore. It was an all black bodysuit with the black tights or like stockings with the long black coat and some red heels.
I saw that.
So shout
8.
out to Rickea, ate it up.
8 it
Okay,
up.
no crumbs,
Not a crumb left.
no crumbs left. Okay,
18.
ate it up. Okay, and Rickea keep eating them up on and off the court.
Keep.
Okay,
Yeah, we need you. Stay strong, baby. For real.
Okay, exactly. And I've definitely been getting my fans. If you are, when you do watch this, if you haven't yet, make sure you get your vote on because All Star voting is on right now, I believe, until the 28th.
Yes.
So go get your vote on. You can vote every single day. So make sure that you are getting your All Star vote on for your favorite player. If you want to see them in the All Star game, go vote for them. You can vote for, I believe it's like six four guards and like six bigs or forwards, bigs forwards. So go ahead, make sure you guys go out there and get your vote on. I don't
And
know if you've been voting, Rachel, but
most
I've
that,
been voting.
most
Okay, I know that's right. Absolutely, we got to get our vote on.
So basically, overall, to recap, I feel like with the Lynx game, Nafisha Collier, unstoppable. That's
Yeah,
just hard to debate. I mean,
yeah,
yeah, our defense was poor, but she was hooping. I mean, it wasn't just her though. That's the thing. Like Courtney Williams, she missed
mhm.
one field goal mid
One,
second quarter. She was 10 for 11 from the field by the mid second quarter. So it's
wow,
like,
yeah,
yeah, we can talk about the defense and it was bad, but also there's times that you can't control the uncontrollables. Like if
mhm.
somebody's hitting, and it was their day for sure.
Yeah,
Um, but Rickea, Emma Cannon, Kelsey Plum in that game, they showed out, and I think that's the three that kind of set the tone for that game, and hopefully coming back can reset the tone, and like we said, give some other players more chances to step up and step into those role playing roles.
yeah,
Excuse me.
absolutely.
In terms of the Storm game, it's
Not
hard.
much to take from. Not much to take from. We're gonna give, like we said, we're gonna give them grace because it was a ton of new players, ton of injuries. So we still rocking with you, Sparks. We hope we've had some good practices in between now and then. I mean, then and now, excuse me. And we're just gonna hope for the best as we continue to move forward and get the players back so we can have closer to a full roster because that matters.
Yeah. So
That,
I'd say key players in that game, obviously Azura Stevens, player of the
mhm,
game. She's strong inside. She's hard to compete with, and if she can bring that every game, it'll be a game changer. Also, role
absolutely.
players, Barker, people like that, stepping up and hitting clutch shots. It's like we started out so well that it shows that we have the ability to play like that. It's just a matter of how can we go from a 1 or 2 quarter team to a 4 quarter team to bring it all together and play the whole game. Like
Right.
just start off playing ball and
Mm.
play all the way through.
Right. And I think if we're able to utilize the quickness that our bigs have, like De'Erica Hamby and Stevens are quick off the dribble, like especially like we talking about catch at the free throw line and maybe jab and go, jab, spin back.
Yes.
Let's utilize like they're not back to the basket, I'll post up, you pass the ball down to me kind of players. They're just not that strong. Like they're just not that. So let's utilize them in motion more. Maybe we're playing some more, two two-man game with big to big, where they're setting screens off each other. Pat, a inside pass from the free throw line to the other big down low. Something to where we're getting some other kind of motion because we're not. I also think that if we add more pace, we're not a walk it down, set up the offense kind of team. We're just not that good. We're just, and that's okay. Like, now, no offense, no shade, none of that. But get get the defense. Let's catch them off guard. Let's see if we can catch them backpedaling. They haven't set up yet. We catch somebody, drive, kick, foul. Going to the, we're putting pressure on the defense. Now we're utilizing more of our speed, more of our, quickness. I think there's just some other things that we can maybe add in, utilize to really, you know, showcase our strengths and be able to really compete.
And I think that KYP we talked about earlier of as a player, know your personnel, know who you're competing against, know your teammates. It also comes back to know yourself,
Mm-hmm.
know your strengths, know your weaknesses, and don't try to play outside of your game. I think a lot of the girls right now are trying to play outside of their game because they're having to step up for these other women and these other players that are out. But it's like play to your strength and go from there.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Agreed. And let's hope that Lynn Roberts continues to be able to put them in position to be able to do that. So
Amen.
we're going to move into our next segment, which is just a little bit about what's going on around the league. One big thing that's a lot of people are talking about right now is the altercation or the altercations in one whole game
I already knew that that's
with
what you were about to say.
Caitlin Clark, Sophie Cunningham, and Lacey Sheldon. So I don't know if you want to touch on that. I can see you a little excited to get into it. Go ahead, get into it, Rachel.
I mean, I've seen so much discourse lately, TikTok, Instagram, X, all these platforms. I mean, good for the W because people are talking about it, but also at the same time, hard with the controversy for some of these players that are not used to maybe being in the spotlight this much or things like that. My personal opinion, I have kind of wavering opinions. I think Caitlin Clark, it's easy to sit here and say she's one of the greatest basketball players of all time on the women's side. Like I think nobody would negate that. She can shoot the thing. Like she's a good player. She's a great player.
Mm-hmm.
At the end of the day, for me, it's the attitude. I mean, my freshman year of college, I was at Central Michigan, and the first round of the NCAA tournament, we played against Caitlin Clark, and I say we by my team because being a freshman, I did not touch the court that game. I'll say
That's
that
okay. That's okay. That's all right.
against her, but I was in that environment. I'm on the bench. I'm watching the game, and honestly, for me, I was a fan, a big fan, because we're in the same graduating class. Like so many of these names are talked about, and now I'm here playing with all them, being in this environment. I'm excited. But then as the game progressed, her attitude, her body language, the way she was talking to her team, it was so off-putting to me that I was like, Paige Becker's my number one now because
Ah,
I didn't. I mean, there's just certain things, yeah, I could speak on. Like, for example, I mean, it's Iowa. I think we were getting 20 or 30 balled by the third quarter.
fair.
There's a play. She comes over to the bench to take the ball out, and the ref's handing her the ball. And she goes to grab it, and she's like, oh, can we just call it already? And mind you, that's what I mean by,
Hey,
yeah,
yo.
yeah,
Wow.
that's what I mean by
Okay.
when a
Okay.
player is that good, it's easy
Yeah.
to love them. But then it's also easy to skew that. It's one of those never meet your idol type of things because I'm like, these other players that are in the same conversations for how good they are, whatever, they've taken it seriously in the sense of, I know I have a following and I know I have people watching me and I need to be humble. For example, great example, Paige Beckers. I love her game. I think she's even more versatile than Clark. Both great players, but the way she carries herself, the way she talks about her teammates, the way she talks in general, it's
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
commendable. And Caitlin's so PR trained. Yeah, she's never going to say the wrong thing, but a lot of times to me, it feels like she's saying a whole lot of nothing. Like,
Mm.
so she's kind of instigating. And now I think a lot of women in the league are getting tired of it. They're not going to put up with it anymore. And it's good that her teammates are going to bat for her, but at the same time, to what avail? Like
Mm-hmm.
it's
Mm-hmm.
not going to stop until she stops instigating. So for me,
Yeah.
it's almost like don't bite somebody and expect them not to turn around and react. Like, you know what I mean?
Agree.
What-
Agree. No, that's understandable. I think that's a great take because I mean we hear so many, just so many praises about, and not to like we got to find the crack in this person or anything like that, but your reputation and how you treat people goes a long way. And like you said, Paige Becker is just her also just I love that she takes every chance she gets to shine light and to protect black women, black people. I love that. Like, I think that's what we think of when we think of an ally, like genuinely like she is. But yeah, speaking on Caitlin Clark, just with that exchange that we're talking about, she because there's a clip and they like kind of have it slowed down, and she tells Lacey Sheldon like I can do whatever I want, and then pushes her, and I'm just like, yo, I'm
And that's
like, I was like, wait a minute, what?
I
I was
need
like,
whatever, and I'm gonna get away with it. Like,
right. Excuse, I didn't know the context, but I'm just like, wow, that's an interesting, I don't know, I kind of just left it because I was like, I don't have all the context, but I'm just like, that seems a little nasty, but okay, but everybody also likes to try to, oh, women like, oh, kind of like, oh, women shouldn't be this aggressive, blah blah blah, and I hate that narrative because
I
when men are, it's fine. So, I hate that, but I think this is a great talking point to have because how you treat people goes a long way. And then, like you said, when that starts to get around the league and stuff like that, people aren't gonna take it.
right.
So
And I
there's some
think there's
something
a
to be
kind
said.
of sick double standard right now for reactions and attitude and carrying yourself as a player. It's like we're expecting a lot of these young girls to carry themselves and not overreact and not, you know what it's like to be in a basketball game in the heat of the moment. I'd say I'm such an easygoing person, chill, like that type of thing. But there's moments where I got so out of character in games and playing
Oh,
just because you're passionate about it. So I'm not saying the passion is wrong. I'm just saying the reception is unfair to
right.
have Caitlin Clark getting upset at refs and getting upset at her teammates and flailing her arms when they're not passing the ball or she gets a bad call or anything like that. But then let another player do it, and all of a sudden it's classless. It's taken away from the game. But when she does it, oh, she's so passionate and she's so fiery and she just loves the sport. I think let's pick a side and then keep that standard for everyone. So if we're going to say, okay, the overreactions and the anger and this and that needs to stop, then let's stop it completely. But I
Mm-hmm,
think that's part of the game and it's
hmm
justified. But
hmm
don't demonize certain players for doing exactly what a star player is doing.
right. Yeah, especially if we can say or maybe not say that it's because of what color they are as well.
And that
So
may play into it for sure.
so yeah, I think these are great points. Great points. And we're definitely going to continue to keep an eye on this as the season goes and call it how we see it because there's no lies told over here on the LA Sparks podcast. Okay.
Say that.
Whether whether it's about the Sparks or anybody else in the league, because as former basketball players, we love this game and, it is what it is.
It
Mhm.
is.
Yeah, it is what it is.
And there's definitely a lot more scrappiness, fights, things going on in the league. So I'm sure we'll have a lot more to touch on within the
Oh,
coming
yeah.
shows.
Oh, yeah,
Hopefully,
absolutely.
that sparks. Stay
Mhm.
strong, ladies. Don't
Right.
let hate get to you. Don't let the other team, the talking, don't let it get to you. I wish I could relay that to them directly because I know how important that would have been to me to hear it from somebody just saying, like,
Mhm.
just sometimes you got to take that and go.
Yeah, yeah. It's growing pains. So we're gonna keep it going for sure. And I'm sure we have more, feistiness to go. The Commissioner's Cup championship is coming up with the Lynx versus the Fever. So I know that that's going to be an amazing game. I believe on like July 1st. So I'm
Hmm.
sure there's going to be some chippiness in that game. So
We
we gonna
gonna
look forward
see.
to it. We
And
gonna see. That's a fact. That's a fact. So as far as the Sparks are concerned, looking forward. Our next two games, we got Saturday, we got Sparks versus Lynx again. So, like I said, like we said, ladies, stay strong, and more than anything, just hopefully we've fine tune the communication defensively. Maybe just to at least just where we're just a little, not even a little, just more on the same page defensively. At least, like you had mentioned, we can't not be able to score the ball and can't get a stop. Like that's we can't.
Right.
That's not gonna fly. So hopefully we've been able to, especially because we played them so so much so recently.
Mhm.
We're able to take some things from that game and bring them into this one, and let's just hope that we can do a little bit more, to deter the great Nafisa Collier and the Lynx. And then also Tuesday they play this. We play the Sky, so we gotta figure out a way to keep Angel Reese off these damn boards. Because pretty much everything that comes off that board is almost hers. So
Yeah,
uh,
I'm excited for that matchup. I think that's going to be a good testimony of our bigs for one, who we both spoke on. We think
mhm,
they have that potential, so I think it's going to be a big on big matchup. Unless hopefully Kelsey Plum's back by that time, but
mhm.
this is a great game for our bigs to show up and show out.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. So I hope that we've been able to just figure out ways to just incorporate some of our players, current players who are available, their tendencies and strengths, and be able to utilize those and highlight those a little bit more moving into these next few games. So we'll definitely be highlighting those games in our next episode. Did you have any final thoughts and takeaways, Rachel, from the games or any games that we have coming up?
Honestly, I think it just goes back to those fan comments of stick it out, stay strong. Hopefully we can get that full roster back and then have more open conversation with a consistent roster and hopefully as well consistent players. So yeah, I think it's just a matter of finding their niche, everyone finding their niche and seeing how that intertwines as a team, finding that cohesion, continuing to take things personally, especially defensively, and talk, stop
Mhm.
the miscommunications on both sides of the ball. Yeah, I think that's what it really comes down to.
Yeah, absolutely. I completely agree. Well said. Definitely well said. And thank you so much to our listeners, our viewers, wherever you are hearing us. We appreciate you. We'll definitely get into those games that we have coming up next week on next week's episode. Make sure that you follow, like, and subscribe Your Game Network.vp. Make sure you follow us on all social media platforms. I believe we're on YouTube. We're also on social or on Instagram as well. We will be getting our we'll be setting up our own personal Instagrams as well, or social media pages. So we'll be broadcasting and promoting our clips for these shows on there as well. And we look forward to catching you guys next week for our next episode.
Absolutely. I think also we should touch on the fact that we're going to get in the arena sometime soon. We're hoping to get
Absolutely.
press passes set up. So later on down the line, we'll have a lot more to talk about in person of just the crowd, the fan reactions, coaches' reactions, bench reactions, things that we won't get to see on TV. Hopefully, we'll have a lot more insight on that we can speak on down the line. But yeah, thank you guys for listening. Hopefully, you'll come back and check us out this rest of this season. Go Sparks.
Absolutely. Go Sparks. We'll have that BTS for y'all coming real soon. See y'all
All
next week.
right, later.